Good morning. It is Monday, February 4th, 2019, and it is 9:08 in the morning. I've turned down the heat even farther to keep the thermostat from turning over, but you may be hearing the washing machine in the background, and sorry, it's the best I can do. So, today, everything is either identity politics or Superbowl or both. So let's see if we can cherry pick our way through some of this stuff and find some things that are actually informative and educational. The first part of this broadcast won't be, though. So, from One American News Network, A Simple Taste of Fear as Maroon 5 led drama-free Super Bowl halftime. And this is by Rich McKay from Atlanta via Reuters. Maroon 5 threw just about everything at the Super Bowl halftime show. A gospel choir, a drum line, pyrotechnics, the giant letter M, and even SpongeBob. But what it didn't summon was the faintest whiff of political drama, and to critics, that was the point. The choice of the pop rock act was intended to please fans and corporate overlords eager for a halftime show that put politics aside for a few sweet moments, wrote the Los Angeles Times. The reality put across something else, though. That was the simple taste of fear. Local Georgia flavor was added with two songs from Atlanta's rapper Big Boy, half of the group Outkast. Rapper Travis Scott joined in after Big Boy rolled on the field with a Cadillac wearing a fur coat. But that did little to mollify critics, some of whom wanted the lead musician at Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium to be from Atlanta, now acknowledged as a hub for hip-hop and rap groups. Others were looking for Maroon 5 frontman Adam Levine to take a knee in solidarity with former NFL star Colin Kaepernick, whose protests against police brutality against Black Americans has been excoriated by President Trump. Musician Cardi B and others had publicly declined to perform at the Super Bowl in solidarity with Kaepernick. Before the show, Levine acknowledged there had been controversy, but said the band would speak through music. The Super Bowl halftime show always creates an insatiable urge to hate a little bit. Levine told Entertainment Tonight, "I'm not in the right profession. If I can't handle a little bit of controversy, that's what it is. We expected it." And, it goes on. In our next story, identity politics. This is just, I don't know. From Sputnik, identity politics idiocy journal slammed for branding Mary Poppins as racist. The online debate started after a New York Times arts section contributor claimed that the beloved 1964 children's film had secret racist undertones in a classic scene where the main characters got covered in soot during a musical number featuring Dick Van Dyke as a chimney sweep. Okay, full stop. We don't even need to go any farther. How you can get soot on the face from doing one of the dirtiest jobs in the the mid to late 19th century until the advent of predominantly either baseboard heat or boiler heat or whatever. How you can get racism out of that, you can't. Okay, let me just rephrase that. You can't. You can't because your ignorance of history, going by simply what you see, which is someone covered in soot, clearly a Caucasian European person. There's no racism there. There might be classism and a whole bunch of it, but there's no racism there. Let's keep going. Just Stand from the Daily Wire. CBS rejects patriotic pro-flag Super Bowl ad from a vet-owned company. And here we have Colin Kaepernick, who is no longer employed, but he still makes the lead photo. Good job, Daily Wire. This is by Emily Zanotti. CBS has rejected an ad from a veteran-owned athletic wear company, likely over concerns that the ad was, quote, too political, close quote. I want to skip to this ad. I don't even want to hear their... Here we go. Let's watch
Don't
the
ask if
ad.
your loyalty is crazy. Ask if your loyalty is crazy enough. When they question you running towards danger for those who are unable or unwilling. When they laugh at the thought of you willingly sacrificing your life for someone you may never know. Stay that way. Some people think you're crazy being loyal, defending the Constitution, standing for the flag. Then I guess I'm crazy.
Then I guess I'm crazy.
Then I guess I'm crazy.
And for those who kneel, they fail to understand that they can kneel, and that they can protest, that they can despise what I stand for, even hate the truth that I speak. But they can only do that because I am crazy enough.
Good on you, Nine. I'm sorry that, the Super Bowl doesn't have somebody with some balanced perspective in their approval committee, but let's keep moving. From Kareem D. Lanier. Born in the hood, no father, mother hooked on crack cocaine when I was 12 years old. I've seen racism in every form and disavow it emphatically. But working closely with real Donald Trump does not, for several years, and can attest to all that he does not have a racist body in his body, racist bone in his body. And there is, President Trump and Kareem Lanier. So, will we believe the testimony of those who work with him on a daily basis? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to listen to somebody else's testimony, but first I want to go back to the desk. So up there on the screen is Matthew 11, 16, 17, and 18, and it reads as follows. To what can I compare this generation? They are like children in the marketplace, calling out to others, "We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We sang a dirge, and you did not mourn. For John the Baptist came neither eating nor drinking, and they said, he has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, look at this glutton and drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and of sinners. But wisdom is vindicated by her actions." In mind as we look at some highlight clips from our next story. This is about a 17-minute clip. We are not going to go all 17 minutes, but this is Representative Larry McDonald, a Democrat from Georgia. I don't know exactly when this clip was recorded, and the person who posted this or reposted this clip has a few comments, and then you'll hear this interview where this representative is bombarded with questions and yet takes a measured, non-confrontational approach to answering each and every question. Let's take a listen.
I wanted to share this interview that I came across from Larry McDonald, who was a congressman back in the 70s and early 80s, but he also tried to be a whistleblower who was speaking out against the establishment of the New World Order, or the One World Government. And much of what he said that would happen has indeed taken place in recent years, such as a push for liberalism and socialism, also that they can bring about the One World Government through things like foreign relations and the United Nations. So here he's sitting down with Pat Buchanan and Tom Braden, who both talk down to him and try to make him look like a crazy conspiracy theorist. And sadly, only 3 months after this interview, Larry McDonald died after the plane he was traveling in was shot down over Russia. And this is why most people have never even heard of him, because he was taken out before he got the chance to spread the word. So I think it's important to remember his legacy and also show people how long this plan for a new world order has been going on, and that there's nothing new under the sun. You know, they've been using the same old tricks since the beginning of time, and it's only now, after decades of brainwashing and programming the masses, they're closer to success than ever before. So anyway, here's the interview so you can see it for yourself, and I do apologize for the poor audio quality. It's an old interview from 1983, and this is the best clip I could find. So here it is.
Mr. McDonald, I'm not a conspirator. I think even Buchanan would vouch for that.
Well, you are
Robert
Wells.
Robert Wells. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Is that a conspiracy?
You've certainly.
Let me just tell you what Newsweek says this. The John Birch Society considers communism only one arm of a master conspiracy in which socialist American insiders are plotting to establish world government. Now, it also says, and here's Director John McManus, that's your public relations director, saying that former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and CIA Director William Casey are two of these master conspirators who are plotting to establish world government. Now, what do you say? That kind of silly, asinine statement is what makes people laugh at the John Birch Society.
Well, Tom, I'm sure being a long-standing member of the Rockefeller apparatus and as a member of the Council on Foreign Relations of longstanding, you're fully aware that there is an elitist core in this country that has seen value in subsidizing communism, of protecting communism.
It has?
Sure.
You're accusing me of subsidizing communism?
No, I'm saying
because
that
I happen to belong to a
there is an elite core.
Study group?
No, wait a minute. There is an elite core in this country that has dominated American society.
Well, I'm not one of them.
Well, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations.
State Department, I suppose?
Well, let's face it, they've dominated the State Department for 40 years, and pretty much openly.
All right,
so.
but what are they trying to do?
Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum.
Well, who are they?
The elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the Council on Foreign Relations.
Is the International Monetary Fund part of this?
Well, I would say the International Monetary Fund has certainly been set up for the purpose of facilitating that transfer of sovereignty and transfer of wealth on the road.
All right, we elected Mr. Conservative.
Let me just finish the point, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of unanswered questions. That you are looking at a group that has worked to bring about the dissolution of national sovereignties on the road to world government. And certainly you're familiar with local professor Carroll Quigley, who has been part of your club, in which he admitted all this. And he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, the only thing I disagree is that we've worked to keep it a secret. And you see Arthur Schlesinger Jr. writing way back in 1947, says, yes, this is the hidden policy of America. But we can't tell the American public because they're too unsophisticated to see the value.
What is the
President
instrumentality of
hasn't made
world
any such
government?
statement in
What
his
is the
life.
instrumentality
Of all the
through
things
which...
you say about Arthur Starr, that's the silliest statement I ever heard. He never made anything like
Well,
that.
let me suggest that you read the May-June issue of the Partisan Review of 1947, Tom, and you can read it for yourself. It's called
But
The
Arthur
Schlesinger
Schlesinger said there was a
Manifesto.
conspiracy, a conspiracy
Oh,
to
he didn't
promote
use the word.
communism.
Oh, no, he didn't use the word conspiracy.
I
He
think
said the
Tom-
objective
Oh,
is
what
to
kind of
bring about.
nonsense is
Well,
this?
let me finish. I'll tell you. He said that the objective, the secret policy, which we can't tell the American public because they're not sophisticated enough to see the value, is that through a steady result of erosion of New Deals, we bring the American society steadily to the left,
All right.
and through a sound concept of benign containment, we merge into the vital center of the socialist left. Those are his words, not mine.
We often ask ourselves, how in the world did we get here when we look around us and are perplexed by the behavior of other people, attitudes, the things that happen in Congress that don't seem to be what we actually want. And we then, if we sit back and reflect, we remember, oh, right, there was that senator from Georgia, a Democrat, who warned us. Oh, right, there was that strange radio host that nobody wanted to admit they listened to overnight, who was telling us this kind of stuff for years. Why didn't we listen then? And will we listen now? In the corner, you remember this is what it looked like, maybe 10 days ago. And I could barely see across the little lake. And this is what it looks like now. I can barely see across the little lake. But as you can see from this picture, it's from burning off fog. And I have been out with the dog. There is ice, but it's very punky and slushy, and I don't think that the big surprise I was going to have is actually going to take place, I'm sorry to say. At any rate, that's all we have for you today on this sometimes foggy, sometimes almost sunny Monday morning in February. We hope you are well and blessed and that you had a fantastic weekend, whether you watched football or not. And until we see you again, for the Shepherd and I, take care.